In this presentation, we're going to talk about what social responsibility is. And the first slide has an image of the spectrum of social responsibility. But before we talk about that, let's talk about what social responsibility is. So it's the obligation of the business to contribute to society. So the least socially responsible are not going to contribute to society. Then the responsive contributions are responsible. They do contribute, but on a case-by-case basis. Then the more responsible take a proactive contribution, where social responsibility is part of the corporate strategy. And while we're talking about this, I want you to think about businesses that maybe you know of or that you have worked for. And as far as work experience, where did your company stand on this spectrum from less responsible to more responsible in regards to social responsibility? The stakeholder approach asks responsibility to whom? Who are we responsible to? Well, we have our stakeholders, and this is anyone that has a stake or a personal interest in the performance or actions of a business. So your core stakeholders are going to be your customers, your employees, your investors, and the broader community. So there is a responsible to employees, creating jobs that work, creating jobs that are meaningful. In addition, a work environment that is good to the employees. Example would be, like in your notes, it says an on-site daycare, profit sharing, strong benefits, insurance, vacation time, etc. A socially responsible business is going to identify the stakeholders that are important and consider these stakeholders' priorities while making decisions, always having your stakeholders in mind. There is also a responsibility to customers. The core of any business is to deliver value to its customers. Consumerism, this is the notion that consumers should have rights and that those rights should be at the center of business thinking. So what are those rights? Well, we have the right to be safe. That means the consumer has the right to use the product that you're making at no harm to themselves. Warning labels should be on the product to prevent harm or product misuse. The right to be safe from harm in product production. And then the right to be informed. There should be enough information included as needed to products to consumers so they will know the benefits and risks. So the right, provide the customer with the information that they need. The right to choose. This leaves room for fair competition. I can choose which product that works for me as a consumer. The right to be heard. This is why there should be focus groups or marketing campaigns, any means where customers can express their thoughts. The one that I think about is customer reviews. That's a place for you to have your voice heard about a particular product and if it worked for you or not. And then there's another term right here, planned obsolescence. And this is a term in your book, and it's a strategy of deliberately designing products to fail in order to shorten the time between purchases. And a socially responsible business would not plan that. There is also a responsibility to investors. Businesses have to make money for their investors, but in the long run, companies are required to be responsible to all their stakeholders. For example, the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, it set limits on what companies could do, how they can be consulted, and those relationships between those companies. This was passed in 2002, and this was due in part to the Arthur Andersen scandal. And in this case, the company helped WorldCom in their accounting scandal. And the responsibility to the community, there's corporate philanthropy, cause related marketing, and corporate responsibility. Corporate philanthropy are all business donations to nonprofit groups. And this could be money or products and employee time donations, not just money. Cause related marketing is when a company joins forces with a nonprofit, and they do this to generate sales for the nonprofit. The example in your notes is that McDonald's takes funds for the Ronald McDonald House. Or if you've ever gone shopping or gone to a even just a Walgreens or somewhere like that, they will ask you if you'd like to make a donation to some kind of non-profit. So that would be an example of cause related marketing. Corporate responsibility, it's the business contributions to the community through the actions of the business itself rather than donations of money and time. So we're looking at the actions of the business. There is also a social responsibility to the environment, and companies must follow minimum standards for environmental protection set at federal, state, and local levels. So it could be through green marketing, recycling, and other environmentally friendly things companies can do. One of the terms here is sustainable development, and this is doing business to meet the needs of the current generation without harming the future generation. The definition of green marketing is also listed here: developing and promoting environmentally sound products and practices to gain a competitive advantage. Globalization has added a layer of complexity to the idea of being ethical and socially responsible, as business must adapt to different cultures, lifestyles, and ethnic backgrounds. Paying the correct wages, not offering bribes, and being responsible even in the face of no government intervention are all choices that businesses face today. For many countries, corruption is rampant. The question is, do we get involved because it is acceptable in this country, or do we do the right thing? Do we pay all workers the same wage, or do we pay much lower wages in a different country across the world than we do our own? These are just a few questions addressed by businesses today across the globe. Because of this is why many companies have rules for conduct, codes of conduct, for their vendors across the world so that there is unity across borders. The question is, who is monitoring this? Well, firms are monitoring themselves through social audit. This is a systematic evaluation of how well a firm is meeting all its ethic and social responsibility goals. Also, there are groups such as activists, customers, investors, unions, environmentalists, and community groups that closely monitor the businesses when it comes to social responsibility. And also, there's the threat of government legislation if a company is doing something that will affect other people, especially affect the stakeholders of the business. the example of government legislation would be like the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002. So that concludes this chapter. Let me know if you have any questions.